Today, on This American Dice, what happens when your methods are questioned by strangers and allies alike? What happens when no one will admit something they all must know? What is a magistrate to do when the very symbol of their authority has been stolen? And what happens when a relative comes looking for help with revenge? Find out what happens today on This American Dice.
We see a city on a lush river surrounded by miles of fields of red poppies. Immediately around the city are green limestone walls. A group of traveling monks heads north toward the city on a main road. The monks are met by peasants along the way who offer alms in exchange for blessings and prayers. The camera flies towards Ryoko Owari Toshi, over its green walls and into the noble quarter. We see beautiful houses, a grand and imposing palace, and a foreign mansion that stands out among the traditional architecture. We pass over the north wall into the temple quarter where the city's population pays their respects to the fortunes, their ancestors, and countless other spirits. The temple of Amaterasu, the sun goddess, and the temple of Daikoku, the fortune of wealth, almost shine in the bright day. Moving west, we see the busy streets of the merchant quarter, crowded with vendors selling goods from all over the Emerald Empire, and even some from beyond. We cross over the Bay of Drowned Honor, passing fishing boats, cargo barges, and the pleasure crafts of the wealthy to arrive in the fishermen's quarter. As the name suggests, the docks are swarming with men and women unloading their catches, but they are joined by burly porters. The quarter is much dirtier, the buildings closer together and shabbier. We see two groups of rough men in an altercation. We head south, swiftly passing over the flat gray leatherworkers' quarter, the home of the Eta, the Untouchables. The only building that stands out is the city's crematorium, which belches forth thick, black smoke. When we arrive back at the river, we slowly float southeast to the licensed quarter. Calmly lit in the twilight glow of hanging lanterns, we see samurai patronizing fine sake and geisha houses. We see a man in a basket hat approach an open door as he is beckoned in by a beautiful geisha. And once inside, he removes his hat to reveal he was the monk from the beginning. Closing the door, the geisha looks at the camera and mouths, "Secrets." Ryoko Owari, City of Lies. Executive Producer, Jessica HBO.
All right. So we join you at the Civil Hall. Yugure, you're doing your equivalent of office hours. You're signing some paperwork. You're having to use your old stamp because the new one is gone.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
Rusted it is.
Yeah. So,
Embarrassed.
and you get a visitor. You see this woman who looks terrible in that picture and probably looks terrible when you meet her. She is old.
Rice.
And looks kind of mummy-like.
Definitely.
And she walks with kind of like a stiff, like bearing.
Oh.
And when
That's a bird.
when one of the servants kind of shows her in, I think she turns to the servant and is like says the equivalent of like, "And fix that shirt." You can hold on to it. And she says, "You're one of the Emerald Magistrates?"
Yes. Or I'll introduce myself. Agasha Yogure.
I could tell from your accent you were from the Dragonlands. So, you've been one of the Emerald Magistrates here now for, and I think that this helps to give us some amount of time. I think it's been like 4 months now.
At least, if not more.
Started?
Yeah.
It's at least that, yeah.
Is it a new season?
Ooh, yeah, it is. So I think it's becoming autumn.
Oh, that's a cool part of the world.
Yeah, so it's like late summer or early autumn. And she says, I thought perhaps one more of your comrades would be here. And perhaps, well, maybe we can hope, doing their duties somewhere else.
Yes, we try to accomplish as much as we can by spreading out.
Excellent. She says, I'm coming here because I was most disturbed to hear about my someone from my own clan coming here and making quite a disturbance.
If you could be more specific, I might be able to share in your concern.
I think she just looks at you and says, And she says, Matsu Fukushu, the woman who came here with a small squadron of men-at-arms and tore through the fisherman quarter.
Yes, unfortunately, she had much violence in her heart and much to yearn for.
And she says, we are samurai. Let us not pretend that that we are not warriors. And a Matsu samurai as well. To say she had violence in her heart is what was said when you said her name.
And it was said again many times, as you mentioned, in the fisherman quarter.
Well, as she is one of my, as she is from my clan, I feel it perhaps necessary that I acquire into what her exact motivations were. If you found anything out in when she was interrogated.
I believe she said many times that she believed her sister to have been murdered here.
Mm-hmm. And do you know who committed this murder?
The culprit, unfortunately, may have been her sister herself.
That her sister had taken her own life.
Through the consumption of, or through the indulgence, overindulgence of opium.
Overindulgence,
One can only handle so much.
Oh. You have. I guess I should have spoken to you earlier. So, and do you believe that was true? That was the case?
I have no reason to. Did she say her relation to her, rather than just?
This woman even hasn't even introduced herself.
Yeah.
You just said all this thing. She's like,
I read about her.
So you might be able to kind of recognize her maybe by reputation, but this woman has not really introduced herself.
I'll say, well, she's. I have no reason to doubt your clansman.
Well, then what is being done to deal with? Then what's being done to deal with this opium situation here?
you know the poison's doing stuff.
Two other magistrates have. I've seen two other magistrates in your position. Now there are 4 men in this position, and yet still someone arrives to. And yet someone still arrives to clean up this matter with a sword.
Do you seek to follow in what's her name?
Matsu Fukushu.
Fukushu's. Do you wish to carry on her crusade?
She says, "I wish only to seek the Emperor's justice. Fukushu wanted to achieve a death avenging her sister."
And what is the justice you seek?
She says, if what you're saying is true, an opium, an illegal substance by imperial law, killed that woman's younger sister. As unfortunate it is that she succumbed to the weakness to indulge in such a substance, it still bears not on the fact that it's a problem in this city and has to be dealt with.
I feel like I want to assess the situation or something.
You want to read her? and see what her deal is.
Or so it's the opium situation. Hey, what's
the breath the commie had as they called in yet?
What's the deal with that? There I was, smoking opium. Crazy.
It's like they come to this town to do this one thing.
Literally, but this
Maybe I
town
just
is
personally don't understand.
opium, motherfucking clay pots.
Whenever I hear them playing their scenes, they're talking about how opium's legal. And now, in this,
Opium is legal, and the Scorpion Clan has the has like a license to harvest and produce legal opium. That is true. You know that.
so what does Yugure know
So what
more than that? Like, does he know? Is he aware of like illegal opium going on?
You at this point definitely know that opium is basically in this world legal, and it's kind of actually like opium in our world. If you want to go and get opium, you can. You go and get a prescription for opioid drugs, and that's legal for you to have those things. And it's actually the same here. You can go and get a prescription for these things at the Temple of the Sun. So for people who are like injured in some way or like ailing in some way, can go and request that, and people will essentially prescribe it to them, and they have like a prescription or a license to have this, and they get it.
But then there
from
are
them.
places where you just go chase the dragon.
Right, but even just those pills outside of that process are illegal, and smokable opium and liquid void, like the opium suspended in alcohol, are also illegal.
So Yugure knows this then.
Yes.
He knows that there's legal stuff, and he knows that there's a lot of illegal stuff.
Yes.
So what she's saying is true. Like, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the situation I wanted to read. Like, how much of this do I know?
So that you already knew. Yes.
Okay.
I wonder how naive he is about it. Just like, it's allowed. But I guess not. That's too naive. Yeah, I guess I'll try to read a person then.
Sure.
Who knows Raji does
Not
it?
a hit.
Not a
Just
hit.
you?
At least me. I don't know if anyone else did.
So, well then.
I don't think.
We live in a city that seems to turn a blind eye to people poisoning themselves and disgracing their honor. And if they want to do that on their own, in some ways that's their choice. They can make the decision to be weak cowards on their own. But when the Emperor's law is being broken, when the Emperor's law was being broken on my watch, I always made sure that something was done about it.
Say that there are many problems the city has faced that we've attempted to address in the last 4 months. And while I agree that the Emperor's law being broken cannot be abided,
Your specific job here, yes.
one must triage the many ways that the Emperor's law is being broken. And
I am totally on this case. Though.
we have been forced to prioritize the violence people do unto others over the violence they do unto themselves.
Don't forget, I am investigating this though.
Is that like did you tell us? Like, if
Well,
were you like in a
were
meeting?
there when I was like, all right, I will do this thing, I promise, and swear upon my clansmen that I
Right.
will.
I don't know if I know you well
So-
enough to like vouch for
okay.
your own promise that you made in a fleeting moment,
Okay. I
and like
understand.
stake my reputation on the fact that you're going to follow through on it.
Okay.
So I'm not going to. That's a.
I didn't know if that was like, okay. I didn't realize it wasn't enough for Mr. Yugure. Need more.
And so she says, "Well, I hope that those who truly seek to end this, as rash as they were in their
misguided quest for vengeance weren't the last of those seeking to end this problem, to end this stain on the law of the Emperor.
Well, I also hope they were not the last to attempt to end this stain, but if others follow and seek to do so in the same way, I'm afraid they will jump to the top of our priorities of whom we need to
I think she's just
stop.
shaking her head. Like, tisk, tisk, tisk.
Time to meet this one.
Yes. And I think she'll say, do you speak for your fellow magistrates, or should I perhaps come and speak with one of them who is more resolute when they're here?
Damn, son. Shit.
Strike of the common.
Come help me out. Come help me out.
Yeah, I think I usually am fine getting pushed over, but she's specifically attacking my, like, resolution and moral fabric, and I'm going to take specific offense to that. I don't know what the best, like, stand up and, like, defend my own, like, defend my honor from that.
Is that one?
A duel?
Technically true.
Stop her with your white glove.
Wrong. It's just maybe a little bit much, is all.
Well, if she is a lion, she wouldn't care.
She'd be like, alright.
I mean, I don't know if I want to physically duel her, but if that's the only
So she is an
option.
old. She is an old woman.
Right, so
She's not carrying a sword.
I especially don't
She
want
has a. She probably has a like a. Does she have a wakizashi with her? Probably.
I can't say
and I'm pretty beat up too. I don't actually want to fight. I just want to like stand up and say like, don't presume to tell me that I'm not morally sound. Like, I take this seriously of doing right by the Emperor and the gods, and your moral alignment is not a demand, or like what you think is right is out of whack if you think I'm not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a manipulate roll.
Yeah.
I guess that's like the closest thing to like aligns.
I got a way you could say that.
With your swords.
Exactly.
Because you're trying to get her to back off on thinking that. You don't judge me.
Okay.
I judge you.
12, pretty good.
Damn.
Sort of.
Be like, you see these?
When
See
you
these?
think it do like that.
Sarcasm.
And I think she says, "Oh, there is some fire in the dragon. Well, excellent. Put that to work for you. Put that to work then."
If she's like gonna leave, I'll stop.
Yeah, I think she's gonna leave.
I'll stop her and say, listen, there is one of us who made a promise to help your clansman lady. I will tell him of your visit.
And she says, "Help her."
Well,
She's dead.
however I worded that, I don't know, just like, did he want to follow her cause? And like,
Well, I hope I hope he does not. Her cause was foolish.
that seems opposite what she was telling me before.
So she's.
I'm misunderstanding her.
So the Emperor's justice is the issue for her. Matsu Fukushu, she thinks, did a dumb thing. She's not surprised she did it, but she thinks she did a dumb thing in going in there and just
Slaughtering.
attacking people.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But what she wants is for the opium thing to be dealt with,
yeah.
As does the Emperor.
which is what
Which
is what he promised,
but what you
specifically
said.
that.
Excellent. Well,
Okay.
again, let us hope he doesn't follow in her footsteps and is more effective.
I meant to say that he's on the same page as this lady, and that I'll tell her that, or tell him that she visited.
Ishi. So when we go back to when we return to you, you've been kind of looking around and kind of inspecting this area.
Yeah.
Did you just want to hang out here till that fire dies down? Because that's unfortunately what these guys are waiting to happen.
No, I know that's what they want to do.
It'll take a while, but it won't take
But I probably have good time to go to a sake
at some
house
point,
and investigate.
Yeah, at some point the opium will have burned up enough where then it's just the smoldering building itself, and then they can actually put out the fire.
Of course. But I probably had enough time to be
definitely.
let me go to some sake house and be like, hey, I'm an Emerald Magistrate, and I see that you're selling opium. And instead of...
So there's sake houses nearby.
Yeah.
For sure.
I want to try to find one that I can tell is selling opium. So, I'm not walking around with my badge straight out.
It sounds like it'd read a situation.
Some kind of role.
Yeah.
Go to your situation. Your situation's fine.
Oh, boy.
Well, it's a 6. It's close.
Oh, yeah.
Close.
So I think you run into the situation of you...
I literally can't find any.
You just get
opium.
You kind of get stonewalled. Where whenever you go to a place, you hear oh no, nobody's
hot dogs only.
Nobody's interested. Yeah, they'll be like, listen, you want a drink? We don't do that. And you're getting the cold shoulder from most of these folks. They're all very happy that. That warehouse is gone. They were worried that the fire would spread. That was a big fear.
All these sake houses really close by?
Like sake houses nearby are, or even if you just talk to regular folks too, they were worried that fire would spread for sure. They're always worried about fire. That's a big concern.
It's literally what
but they're glad that that's gone. That's something we didn't know was here. That's something that shouldn't have been here. Bad news. So that whatever they were doing in there,
all right,
they're kind of done.
Well, I guess I gotta find something. Yeah. So, is the fire dying down by the time I get stonewalled all over the damn place?
Yeah. So you can come back to it to kind of look around, and the Moment's Edge firemen will kind of work on putting out the rest of the fire, and periodically splashing, just throwing kind of sand on a lot of things. They'll use water for stuff, but a lot of times it's throwing sand on stuff. It's just easier for them to do it, as well as kind of breaking stuff up, so it kind of burns out quicker in smaller little bits. But yeah, so they're kind of doing that as this thing is now just smoldering bits of wood, part of a frame here or there.
Does somebody look like they're investigating this? Is there somebody? I mean,
aside from you?
Aside from me, is there somebody picking through the piles of refuse and looking at things?
No, not really.
Everybody's just trying to all right, well, let's get this fire out and move on with our lives.
Yeah, but eventually,
how this place burned down.
If you kind of wait for a little bit and watch these guys kind of do this thing, eventually a group of Edda do show up and start pulling out some bodies.
That is also one thing that I wanted to look at.
Oh yes,
bodies.
So when they pull out, I don't know.
A couple.
They pull out a few. I forget if it's
Jimmy Hoffa.
That's what it was.
Yeah, there's maybe a half dozen people.
Well, it's kind of a lot. Well, how big is this warehouse? It's a big ass warehouse, right?
It's a small warehouse, but it's.
So I guess it's a fairly all right. What you would expect to see
even a small warehouse is going to be larger, the size of a residential house.
No. Yeah, I meant number of people compared to size of warehouse is what I was thinking. That's a fairly good even mix.
Yeah.
Can I have called what's his name over eyebrows? As a way of being oh hey, this person, can you go get this Edda for me?
Sure. Yeah, if you talk to some of the Edda, be like, "Oh yeah, we'll get him." We'll.
Just so he can come over here and do.
And
his
if you
thing.
tell them to do a thing, like have him do this, you can meet up with him somewhere else. And we kind of
I kind of wanted him to like look at the bodies, but yeah,
okay.
I want eyebrows to look at these.
So we
bodies.
kind of like see that like the sun starts to go down and
Yeah.
he comes out and he's
A
looking
little bit.
at this stuff and he kind of looks at them and he'll tell you like oh yeah, there's there's six people. They're all
I mean, they killed
They're
by
all
fire.
dead.
Nothing else other than fire.
so.
No signs of a.
Oh, he says, oh, they were already dead.
Ah. They're already dead. What killed these men?
And he says they hadn't died in the fire.
Yes. What killed them?
And he says,
Were they like stabbed?
and he says like oh the fire basically burned up most of that. I can't really tell.
Okay. All right, I see. I see what
But some of them.
They had real hot swords in their throats.
Yeah. Oh, no, he
So
says,
it really
so
could go.
I can't tell too much of it, but a lot of them had. It might have been from the like parts of the building falling, but a lot of them did have broken bones.
Oh, so like beaten to death. Interesting. It kind of seems like a fireman thing to beat somebody to death.
And he's like
I was like, I don't
yeah, he just he looks down and is like, again, he doesn't make eye contact in the slightest. You just see his bushy caterpillar eyebrows moving around as he tells you about this, and he's like, oh yeah, I knew that they. I can tell you for certain, like they might have been beaten to death, but they were definitely not killed in the fire.
Fell down some stairs 3 times.
Thrice times.
Had been tripped.
All the men were all killed before the fire. The opium warehouse is burned completely to the ground. There's like nothing left, really. Right? And we're it's like pretty much just smoldering building remains.
Pretty much, yeah. I feel like you already made kind of this read a situation roll for this thing.
I was reading a situation and trying to find out my way into
Okay, that was more of a social read a situation.
I was trying to get opium, but not get it. Be like, oh, you have opium.
You're in trouble. Tell
I'm
me
now
this.
Emerald Magistrate. Where the fuck? Where'd you get this shit?
All right, go ahead and make another roll for me.
All right.
Fucking narc.
Ain't gonna be shitty about it.
There's better.
It's a 9, yeah.
Yeah.
It's better. It's almost a 10. Close, but not quite. So I get like a question.
Mm-hmm.
What should I be on the lookout for to find out like whose opium warehouse this is?
One of the things you notice is after when you like move some of the bodies, there's actually a. I'm not sure exactly how you find this. It's been closed up, for sure. It's been kind of like, but if you like dig at it for a minute, there is a tunnel
Oh.
from this warehouse
Oh, there's a
that
tunnel.
goes someplace.
While finishing my conversation with eyebrows and finding
And you look
said
at
tunnel.
where this warehouse is, and it's close to the wall of the edge of the city. And this tunnel goes under the wall.
Oh. So like the opium's coming in from outside the city?
When you-
I gotta follow the tunnel. I gotta follow the
Where
tunnel.
the fields are.
So,
I know that. I mean being processed outside the city is more what I was saying. I want to go
You could-
follow the tunnel.
you could probably figure out, I'm not sure exactly how you figure this out. Maybe you get a kid to crawl through the tunnel or something like that.
I assume I'm much too large for it. So.
But maybe when you get to the or you like kind of go to like the gate and some Thunder Guard are like just there guarding the stuff, and you look out into the fields and kind of like the sun is kind of setting, and you see that there's a small group of Thunder Guard and like servants like out kind of in the middle of one of these poppy fields, and they have like shovels, and you're like, that tunnel went into this field, and these guys now are collapsing the other end of the tunnel. So that
Oh,
Like, get rid of this tunnel.
that kid's dead. Poor child.
The kid comes back and is like, "Sir, oh boy,
Oh boy, it's all collapsed. I nearly died.
sorry."
I actually lost my left leg down there.
Oh,
Can I have any money for that?
Can I have your
come on,
leg?
get out of here, kid. Little boy.
give me a leg.
I will definitely go and see what these men are. I don't know if I made a horrible noise.
No, you're
I'll
good.
definitely go and see what these men are doing out there.
So if you
Like,
head out
try
there,
to get past these Thunder Guard that are at the gate.
yeah, they don't stop you.
Oh, these guys at the gate.
No.
Even though, like,
And
their
especially
friends
if
are
you've got your badge on, they definitely don't bother you.
Oh, that's good.
So
I want to see what these boys out here in the field are. What does the Thunder Guard in the field have to say for themselves?
yeah, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, like, hello," and they don't stop.
They're just like, I'm just going to keep on doing this shit. I'm following up a lead on the burned out warehouse in the city.
Oh yeah, in the North Rim.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got this thing closed up.
Why?
He's like, people are going into the fields and stealing poppies and making it into illegal opium.
Makes sense. How did you find that out? How did you find out that there's people doing this?
And he's like, oh well, when there was the fire, all the smoke was full of opium.
So you just knew where the tunnels were?
He's like, eventually somebody gave us a tip off on that.
I want to read this guy.
Sure.
I don't believe him. I think the Thunder Guard is shady as fuck.
Ishi makes sagacious rolls over and over again.
Always reading people and living my life. That's what Ishii does.
No,
That's
not a bad roll.
pretty good.
So, they had basically he's like, he's kind of real cagey about it, but in the end, he'll tell you. What's your question?
Is this boy telling, like, are these people, are they involved in this opium ring, for one?
So, are they involved in this open room? He's like,
That's nice. This man talking
He's like,
truth.
no, I gotta. Well, hold on. What are you asking? So, how did they find this tunnel? Or what? What's being asked?
Not really how they found this tunnel, but the way they were answering my questions, I was suspicious that they were part of this opium ring. So I ask leading questions, being like, how'd you guys find out so quickly? Who tipped you off?
Oh, they'll tell you at first they just said, yeah, we found this tunnel.
With the intention of figuring out if they're telling you.
If they're telling the truth about, doing this in a good way, not in a, oh shit, we gotta cover our fucking tracks, and that kind of thing.
So he'll be like, yeah, somebody was taking these poppies out of these fields and turning them into opium in that warehouse.
And he doesn't have anything to do with it?
And he's like, no, that's no good. Can't do that.
So he's not a degenerate liar.
So I'll tell you that. I'll tell you this. He doesn't have anything to do with that.
What does he intend to do then after he closes it?
This is kind of the big thing that he's trying to do right now. They're just a few of these guys. The odds are the Thunder Guard aren't actually doing the digging. There's some like peasants or servants that are doing it, and they're kind of
whipping them.
Yeah, they're kind of just like watching this, and they're like, oh, we're trying to see if there's anybody else who comes in along with this because we can't have people stealing this stuff and turning it into opium. They're watching to see if there are any other folks who show up. But now, what does he intend to do? He's definitely worried that you're asking so many questions.
I would be worried if I was
he's gonna go make sure that it's kosher that you're asking so many questions.
Oh, he wants to go make sure that this is a thing that I can do. All right. Jesus, when else can I know these people?
You got the go get my manager kind of haircut.
Yeah. What can I say? That's what I do.
You should just be lucky you're not asking any punches yet.
Hey. No. Yeah, I don't know what else I can get from these guys. Super. So it's just been people stealing poppies from the fields, huh? That's how this opium ring was happening. Poppy thieving.
He's like, yeah, these are just some nasty criminals, but the fire hopefully destroyed all the stuff that they had, and we'll seal up this tunnel. We'll have some more Thunder Guard out here watching the fields. Tell them to keep an eye out for this kind of stuff.
Did the man who tipped you guys off say how long this had been going on for?
And he'll say, "Oh, we just found the tunnel."
Telling me the farmer didn't notice poppies were missing.
He's like, "Oh, eventually they found a tunnel on their side earlier today." Yeah.
Oh. All right. Has this happened before? Has the Thunder Guard caught wind of any other tunnels leading out of the city and poppy thieves running throughout the hills?
And he's like, "Oh, I mean, I'm sure people have tried to steal stuff before, but this is the first tunnel I've seen."
Well,
It takes a while. It's got a while to dig. And it is a distance.
it's a distance.
You got to get under those walls. Those walls are...
So this is a big setback for whoever's doing this. I think that this is just like a grunt. This isn't like somebody would be like, "Hey, you guys should fucking do more patrols." This is just like some random dude. It'd just be like saying it to the wind.
Mm-hmm. Be like complaining about the cops to just a random cop.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. The cop's like,
yeah, okay.
Sure. Yeah, I'll just leave this group of men. Yeah, I'll just leave this group of men. I do kind of want to talk to the farmer just real quick to be like, hey, has any of your farmers complained about poppies missing to you? Because farmers talk amongst each other. Is that a thing? Have you ever heard of another farmer?
So, I think one of the farmers is there, digging the hole. And it's they will say, "Oh, no, I haven't heard too much about this. The Thunder Guard are usually out here, and that's because everybody will."
Okay.
That usually isn't a problem.
Thanks, random dude. Alright, I guess I'll just move on from this, and I have to try to find more illegal poppies somewhere else.
We have kind of another establishing shot of the magistrate's residence. Are we doing it there?
Yeah.
So we have another establishing shot of the magistrate's residence. We have a shot maybe of the garden and of kind of the beautiful, the very beautiful waiting room, and then the kind of much more austere meeting room where you guys have your meetings.
Did you call everybody here today? Sure. Was that what happened? Okay.
We used to have a meeting regularly, but now that we've been in the city for several months, I feel like we've forgotten to get together regularly.
This is true.
It's true. I feel we've lost a little bit of our focus, especially as these more and more problems befall us. We got back from Doji Setsume's,
The Emerald Champion.
Well done.
It's obvious we haven't made a lot of headway, and enough. We're not living up. I feel ashamed that we still haven't found the murderer of our predecessor.
That's very true. Has anybody made any progress towards that front? Anybody done any more? Heard anything new, or are we still at a standstill?
I don't have any more leads. After that dead end, we had the leather workers' quarter. I don't think
I do either.
There's some sort of connection to the firemen. I assume these gangs had to be involved in some way.
Of course. There's definitely somebody that lives and works in the city that did this.
Maybe the town doesn't want us to find the murderer.
It is starting to feel that way.
I certainly think there's parts of the city that would agree with that. And now, I feel that was our highest priority, but now I think these bandits are even more important after stealing the Emerald's chop. I think that I can only assume it's Fade's men. I think that has to even eclipse that.
The kind of weapons they were using now. Perhaps we need to follow through on that. They were using Naganata?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seemed like the same.
From the Thunder Guard.
Yeah, and the Thunder Guard gave us quite a lot of trouble that one time when we were investigating.
Thunder Guard have given us plenty of trouble for as long as we've been here.
Well, the leader of the Thunder Guard's right next door.
True, but I think there must have been some kind of ear close to us, because there's not many people, and Austin, correct me, how many people would have known that we were going to see the Emerald Champion?
It wouldn't have been a huge list of folks that would have known that. So you guys do make regular trips out there as part of just your charter. So it would be known that you go out there periodically. So that idea isn't too hidden. But what you'd be bringing back might be...
It's pretty big.
We theoretically didn't even know that.
You didn't even know it yourselves. Yeah, you're right.
Looking for it.
An ear close by? Maybe the person next door? Because I don't trust scorpions. Well, no one should.
That's true.
They have a bad history, okay? I didn't write that.
Oh.
You didn't share?
Well, alright. He just stole them.
So at some point there was an attack in your dossier that describes how a shipment of Thunder Guard armor and weapons were stolen.
So that's what it's going on.
Okay, well...
Thanks for that, because we would have chased that lead to the ground.
I figured, I was like, should I just let me just point it out in here.
Yeah, it's a good plan, because we would have followed that shit till we made the whole city heinous. And, Piago start going, to hang.
I think I can rule all of us out, but I hate to say it, but I'm a little wary about your servant that came with us. How much do you trust him?
Sure.
He theoretically found out the same time we did.
Buttons.
Buttercup.
Got a leak?
I'm not sure how he would have gotten a message to them, but I don't rule these villains
This
out.
was assigned to me as a... what's he called? As my personal servant. I frequently task him to keep him busy and do not require a servant. Well, I wouldn't jump to any conclusions regarding him. I wouldn't say I know him particularly well. But also, I wonder how he could have known before we did. As you say,
Well, I think he learned the same time we did, right?
presumably he could have learned at about the same time, but I feel that this attack would have needed to be planned in advance. Someone who knew well before we did.
I'm not overly knowledgeable about the intricacies. Oh, that's fine. The complications of battle, but if you're a cavalry, doesn't need much time to stage an ambush. I think I don't want to. I think that's the only person I can think of right now, unless it's someone that. Because that's the only servant we brought, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
It would make sense if you brought your handmaiden, but we hadn't discussed that she was there, so...
Probably would have brought her
Unless it's someone from
from that city.
that city.
Or under...
From Caillou Nicoma?
Right.
the Emerald Champion.
And we met at a different place than we normally do, right? Closer.
So someone from there may have known this was going to be happening and then attacked us on our way back.
It's true. Yeah. That is a possibility, too. Especially if this servant isn't... If you're not overly familiar with him, I don't think it might be prudent to have a pitiful or something talk to him. The person, like the interrogator.
Oh, the torturer?
I would prefer interrogator.
All right.
You can call him that. Pretty sure we know him as a torturer. Poor buttons.
Or I guess we could talk to him. I don't know.
I wouldn't subject him to such trauma before we have reason rather than just assumption. Have we told the Emerald Champion yet that we lost this thing?
Have you?
I feel like that should have been like step one.
Yeah, I assume this is
Probably.
a little after.
Probably step
A
one.
day or two.
Like if we haven't done that already, I'm definitely going to say
Okay.
like we should have done that
So-
like, right away
Have you?
to get ahead of it.
What do you guys think? Have we?
I vote yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Tom?
So you already sent a message to him, and his message in response,
I hate you guys so much.
yeah, is
Not just that we lost it, but that we suspect like, there's somebody who's in on something somewhere, and we're going to look into it. But if he could also look into it,
he says, disappointing. Please follow up. Continue to use old seals in the meantime.
so he knows, and like it sucks for us, but like at least
Yeah.
it won't spiral completely out of control.
Yeah, that's for sure. Huh. Wow.
And so assuming some time has gone on, I think we should continue to look into anyone who might have been severely injured from your attack.
We still ought to continue with our plan of ambushing them using the caravan.
Certainly, if we could get the Emerald Champion to agree to have another meeting with us and give us another seal, that could spread the word that such a second seal exists, and we would be better prepared.
I don't know how much goodwill we have with the
Yeah, that sounds...
Emerald Champion right now.
I don't think we have the manpower. These people have horses. They have weapons.
Which is why...
I mean, what kind of bandit hideout can handle upkeep for horses?
Well, one benefit of that, when we do set up this ambush, I think you're heading up. Bayushi Korchika did give me some funds to secure more troops. In the event of that, they'll just be hired troops.
Yes.
As you know, it's quite looked down upon to have foreign troops in the city.
Well, of course.
Gives you a look.
Of course. Hopefully we will have enough men for... We're just going to appear to be a small caravan. And that way they will not attack us with a full force.
Well, I can assure you I have enough to
And we can take some
secure
captives.
the services of a small army.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of money. Well, that is quite a sum of money you've been gifted.
Well, not me. It's for us, for the specific reason of the troops.
Well, wonderful.
It's especially the prominent members of the city have as much investment of getting rid of these bandits as we do. Especially after that terrible tax collection.
I don't think, well, I'm sure they're not as upset about the terrible tax collection as we are. They're probably more upset about losing caravans. But nonetheless, that is something that we had to take care of. Another thing that's been plaguing me since, I don't know, a couple weeks. I don't know, whenever she attacked. What's her name?
Matsu Fukushu.
Yeah, whenever she...
Yeah, that probably was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, plaguing me for a couple weeks is the opium epidemic that the city is facing with all the illegal opium plaguing the streets. Just today, a warehouse burned down that was yesterday, whatever. A warehouse burned down that was hosting a group of opium smugglers, and they were stealing from the nearby fields.
Oh, good. Then it's burnt to ash then. At least we don't have to worry about that.
I'm afraid it wasn't that is the least of our concerns, because this seems to me like some kind of I'm not going to call it turf war because I don't think Ishii would know what the hell that is, but they weren't killed by some accidental fire. These men were brutally beaten and killed before the fire, and the fire was set in order to hide that fact. I think that there's groups of people selling this illegal opium.
Like a rival gang burning down their competition?
Exactly what I'm saying. We really need to find out who this is, because the longer this goes on and the more unrest the city faces, the harder it will be to solve the murder of Naratoki-sama and to fix the bandit problem. If the city is in riot, then we will have no time to actually fix more of the city's problems.
Well,
and without a doubt, opium is the problem.
sure. Well, opium I know is can be a danger, and I'm no herbalist, but I think usually recreational opium quells riots. So at least for the time being, that should be okay, and we can at least have time to focus on these more pressing matters.
As long as the city doesn't burn down in our while we wait.
Ishii, I met someone who shares your concern for the rampant opium usage.
Oh, what
She
is...
is a relative of Fukushu,
So she's like in the same clan.
and she seems to be not only concerned with the opium situation, but with what the Emerald Magistrate is doing about it.
Oh, well, I will...
I shared with her my stance, but I want to let you know that you may have an ally if you seek to follow through on the promise you made. Or I won't say promise you made, because I'm not going to make you do it, and so I don't want to say promise. So I'm going to say, like, on the passing remark you made in
Jesus.
the dungeon or whatever.
All right.
Well, I don't think we should allow ourselves to be distracted, though. I think we need to focus on these two things first, and then maybe we can worry about the
It's surely
illegal consumption.
as your clan is the Imperial subjects. I know that they are. The Scorpions are entrusted to deliver the medicine, but surely they must have a vested interest in making sure that it stays off the streets and out of the hands of people who could abuse such a medicine. No.
Absolutely. I'm sure they'll be our allies in this. But I think as we have to deal with these more pressing matters, but that should certainly be on our list, our agenda.
So which pressing matter do you think we have an advance on?
Well, like I was saying, I think we have to put these bandits ahead of everything, and then hopefully if the fortunes will help us and that leads to our predecessor's murderer, and that will help. But if not, then that has to be number two. And I think worrying about these nobles committing suicide through smoke, that might come later.
Who figured out that we might use the fake documents? Somebody one of us read a situation, and the situation was like, hey, there are going to be fake documents, and that's how you're going to find the
That was
lead.
me.
That was you? Okay. I just didn't know. Did you say anything about that or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say that now. Yeah, so we should. It was an inside job. We have to look for that injured person
Yeah.
who was
Yeah.
lightning shocked, and yeah, I don't think I said it out loud. But my of the three things was also we should look for the forged
Forged documents.
yeah, is it? I might have to look up the law on this, but is it within our power to restrict moving papers in the city until we figure it out?
Probably.
They're the ones who
We're
approve
the
them.
people who approve them, so we can just be like, all right, we're now non-approved, and if you have moving papers,
Or I mean, it'll be more hours for us at the city hall, but maybe if we at least temporarily mandate that we have to physically check every person to make sure their shop is ours or not. I'm sure we can hire other people, but then that becomes
no, of course.
people we trust.
That would cripple the economy if we did that.
Well, cripple
how
the
else
economy
do
to
we-
allow this shop to be in the wild too.
Yeah, some criminals moving freely throughout the empire is something we must stop at all costs. Do you not agree, Aji?
I do agree, but I'm saying
How many people check the papers? Like, we approve them, right? But then they get, checked as people move out of the city?
Well, the problem is that it's a legitimate seal.
Right, but how many people are doing the checking?
Oh,
Is it hundreds of people every day? Or oh, yep, that's good, and then move on? Or is it just the people at the front gates of the city or something like that?
You guys have definitely seen the Thunder Guard check people's travel papers when they come in, for sure.
Is that mostly at the gates though?
Yeah,
that
once they're
happens?
in the city, they're for the most part in the city unless they're stopped for some particular reason and are noticeably outsiders.
Do they have to get checked to leave?
it's like customs.
They might.
It's up to the Thunder Guard?
They're more concerned with who's coming into the city than who's leaving the city.
Well, people coming in don't have the fake stamp, right? Mm-hmm. Well, unless that fake stamp got taken, it isn't in the city at all. It's out at the
It's
bandit
in the
camp,
bandit camp, yeah.
and they're just bringing in whatever they want.
Yeah, which is the issue.
And we got ambushed close to the city, right? Or was it close to the other place?
It's closer to the city.
Yeah.
So
Well,
basically, the stamped papers are indistinguishable from any other city where they could have been stamped.
yeah, maybe that's a dead end then.
I was going to say, what if we add an extra mark to the ones that we approve, but that wouldn't matter because those are all leaving. It's the ones that are coming in that's the problem.
Are we able to commission our own stamp?
No, I'd say you guys have a thing. You have the old ones.
Yeah, we have a stamp that we would have to put, and then can we commission a stamp that would have to be next to it?
You could have your own personal thing, sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's do
I like
that.
that.
Can we,
The odds are you guys probably have that already.
Yeah.
I think maybe
But
we
that's
should.
a thing that they wouldn't have.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
We can add an extra mark, but that only affects papers leaving. If the issue is that the bandits are sneaking things into the city, there's no reason we could expect that to have our stamp because they could have come from anywhere.
Question though, is it so a real life passport? Mm-hmm. It's a passport. It's an American passport. Do you have a City of Secrets? I can't.
Or what's it called? Ryoko Owari?
Yeah, Ryoko Owari. Do you have a Ryoko Owari travel papers with our stamp on it, or is it just Rokugan?
I mean, aren't there some documents that you can go anywhere in
Yeah, and you
this
guys
land?
you can issue those to people that are basically just anywhere you want to go for it.
And now people can issue them to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's-
You might also have them specifically from, so for instance, you might have them from Shosuro Hyobu and or Yogo Sako to go from this place to this other Scorpion city and
yeah.
in the process,
So
don't
I just
bother
didn't know
these
if there was
people, yeah.
oh, hey, we can just make sure anybody who
but
has
now
a stamp
you'd
from
have
this city.
have that on just
Yeah, okay.
as just an imperial thing.
Your sister-in-law probably wanted one that's you can go from Dragonland to Crabland without getting harassed.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a stamp every time. That's probably what, right? That's probably
Yeah.
what she was after.
More like that, no.
That's what you was asking for.
Okay, so I don't know. You're correct that it's not super going to matter, but if we stop issuing ones, which will of course bring harm to the city, and will generally make the city kind of hate us, and we get reports of people going to other cities with our stamps from other cities, we can we could send messengers to other cities.
I guess.
Be like, hey, if people come into your city from Ryoko Owari, tell us, and hold them, and we will come interrogate them.
Take a week to get there.
But when they're passing through, I don't think they need our stamp. If it's you can go from Dragon to Crabland, for instance. I don't think we have to stamp it on the way, right? They're just oh, that's already been stamped. Great.
You would just they would have to they'd have to show these things. This is my passive free
when
travel.
when they show, and it's oh hey, this is stamped by these guys over here who have specifically told us, hey, we're not stamping anything. If you see anything that's stamped by us, immediately cordon off that individual, hold them, and come talk to us.
That was forged.
That's true. It's just an overall imperial stamp. It's not
It's not like the Ryoko Owari Emerald Magistrates.
Right. So theoretically...
So, how do we even tell if something's been forged?
It can be especially because theoretically they got the real deals.
But theoretically, only magistrates have this.
I guess we just have to go with the caravan plan and make sure that shit works.
Yeah, I feel at the very least, when we're stamping things, we should commission our own, at least temporary, Owari only one, and just stamp both whenever we do it. So at least we're doing our due diligence against that.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree with that. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
don't know exactly what it'd be useful for, but it could be useful.
Yeah. We have to do something. We have to figure out something to deal with the fact that the bandit set was stamped.
Yeah, it just makes it that much harder to find them because they can come in and out of the city even if they wouldn't be able to before.
Yes, of course, it's actually a major problem.
And if whatever goods they steal, they can sell it anywhere now.
Yeah, that's true.
That's absolutely it has to be our number one priority, even though it might bring us shame to let the murderer continue to be at large.
Yes, this is for sure. Is that everything we needed to talk about today, Tayo? Maybe no cards then.
I think I'm going to go and try and find some more information too, but do you think it would be beneficial for me to talk to Buttons?
Let me first.
I would like to talk to him too, if you don't find anything else.
If you wish, you can be nearby when I talk to him. And then if things go awry, or if he decides to run, you can.
Should we all interrogate him? It's not that I don't trust your skills. It's just I have a way of just smelling lies.
Well, if you wish, as I said, if you wish to listen, but I don't want to subject my servant to undue stress.
I understand.
So yeah, that is one thing I plan to do, which is I want to calmly, kindly, gently, straight up just say, look, can I trust you? Did you know anything about this?
Buttons is kind of sleeping in the little, I think there are, if you guys have personal servants, there are almost closets off from the main room, but they're very, very small, that are their little sleeping corners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect.
And so, but he's kind of cleaning things in your room for you, and kind of readying, everything is so Spartan. It's very easy to clean. And and the maids mostly do that stuff. So his thing is he's just kind of like waiting and kind of like hanging out, kind of being like, let me just mess with my bedroll again. He doesn't have much to do.
Side buttons, I do not wish to cause you undue stress considering our recent traumatic situation with the bandits, but there has been
Thank you so much for saving me, Master.
Oh, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, there has been some suspicions regarding how the bandits could have known about our location and our cargo, and I have to ask you if you know of anything related to this, or if you had anything to do with it.
He's like, oh, Master, of course not.
So I'm going to just read a person.
Sure.
And are you, like, outside?
Yeah,
I invite you.
If you'll let me be there, I'm like with you too.
No, not with me. I'm with them by myself. But you can, like, listen in somehow.
It's not as good.
You have to observe a character. I can observe him with my ears. Right?
I tell you
That
what,
counts?
You can use the peepholes.
tell him. Oh, those aren't so?
The bad guy from Shaft? People.
Nice.
Not bad.
Damn, son.
Oh, absolutely. He's absolutely not lying. He's telling the truth. He's like, oh, I would never, Master. I was terrified. Thank you so much for saving me. You and the others were so brave.
I hope you understand that I had to ask. We had very few people with us, and you were one of them. But I appreciate your honesty and loyalty.
He's like, oh, I was born to serve your family. I would never do anything against you or your family. My father and father's father worked as servants to your family for all these years.
Right. So you had nothing to do with it.
Got 2 more questions, all right?
What, he was telling the truth.
Yeah, like,
He didn't have anything to do with it.
So,
what he said, right?
further questions.
yeah, not even one from buttons.
Yeah, I don't.
All right.
I don't want anything from this guy. Get out of here.
Did I just like ask the wrong question and he's really a devious mastermind, or are we just done?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dude, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Is there? Here, let me.
Massage your feet.
Yeah, let me draw you a bath.
Well,
What? Well, I don't trust him anymore. That's a little too much.
no, yeah, I'm good.
All
I
right.
think I need to ask one question.
Okay.
Was I able to observe him at all?
I think you could hear some of that from outside if
Kind
you're
of
like sticking your.
observing for a minute.
Yeah, it's a very brief
He wants to
conversation.
learn his weakness, is what he's trying to do.
I mean, I knew that he wanted to do that. I wanted to try
Okay,
to
sure, yeah,
orchestrate
yeah.
that
If you orchestrated
situation.
that, absolutely.
All right, so this is Dayushi move, so I can roll a sagacious.
All right.
Come on, secret.
Not bad.
Don't make me regret you finding the weakness in my servant.
9. Yes. So, I will. Okay. Well, this might come to nothing too. I'm going to reveal the secret and cause the character to lose one face,
He's literally serving.
So you.
which I assume may be nothing, but I guess. So the whole thing is observe a character and learn their weaknesses. Roll sagacious. 10 plus, choose 2. On a 7-9, choose 1. And there's lots of ways for me to blackmail them, but one of the options is reveal the secret that you learn, causing the character to lose one face.
Oh, so you reveal it.
I think you'll have to like come into the room like dramatically if you come up with some kind of secret. If you're
Yeah.
gonna make him lose face, you gotta like.
You gotta really go for it.
You just tell all these guys. They'll get back to you.
I guess the other options were blackmail them for 1 favor, blackmail them for 1 wealth.
Batman
gain
definitely
blackmail
does not
against
have a
them.
one well.
I guess gaining blackmail would. Is that it? If I don't just immediately reveal it? I guess. I don't know.
First off,
I mean, I'm going to
somebody has
reveal
to come
it.
up for a secret for this child.
Yeah, and I guess if they don't have any of them.
I'll give you this as a secret. It's maybe not it doesn't maybe have the most teeth.
Chronic masturbator.
Yeah. Chronic halitosis.
Wait, what's chronic?
Ooh, guys.
Dr. Dre album.
Forgot.
Maybe the two of them have a conversation that kind of like goes on a little bit after it, and you could tell that this guy
It just goes to me and just the lights on my
Yeah.
face.
This Buttons does not understand why he's not living it up more.
Why he's not?
Yeah. Where it's like, oh, they had like a manor house or an estate that they lived on.
Man or house?
One of those. Either one.
He lived on it though.
No, I said manure house.
Oh.
Manure house estates. Ooh, the finest coffee.
Newer house.
Yeah. Skinner. All right, so they had this manor house, and now he isn't there. He's instead in this city,
This fucking palace.
and this place is nice, but he has this job where he could live it up substantially more, and yet he's not doing
No,
that.
didn't the first episode just like move all this furniture out of this house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's like he doesn't get it, and he thinks he's like wasting a bunch of so there's like a slight amount of resentment that like, oh, you're squandering this opportunity, but he can't say anything about that. So I don't know how much teeth that has, but there's a secret.
Okay. You know a secret that has more teeth? It's actually a cat.
Yeah.
Secrets.
All right.
All right.
That's it.
I no longer question Button.
I would have thought as much, yeah. I never questioned Button. I believed that cat boy from the beginning. Dun, dun, dun.
My little buttonholes.
And the worst game of L5R started the day we decided to search Button's holes. Last week.
Or the best.
One of those two. All right, so I think the last scene in our episode is you're doing something. You have some kind of reason to go out at night. Maybe you're going out to Teardrop Island. Maybe you're going out to just go visit somebody or go out, whatever it is. You're outside. If you don't think you would do that, there could just be like a knock on the door and somebody, like a servant, be like, "I know it's late. I'm so sorry, but there's someone at the door for you. He's very insistent." You know what? Fuck it. It's that.
You know, fuck it. You don't get to go outside.
Yeah.
You have a servant.
Yeah, the servant shows up. So it's not too long after this exchange. Like maybe everybody's like, all right, time to go to bed. And you're kind of either preparing to go to bed or maybe you are preparing to go outside. But a servant comes up and is like, hey, he was very insistent.
Oh, she's
All
gonna
right,
die.
where?
He says,
Show me the way.
he says he's in the waiting room or whatever it is.
All right. I go right out.
All right.
Let's meet this person.
All right, and a man who looks somewhat like who fits some descriptions that you've heard before is standing in front of you. He's kind of like barrel chested. He's not as tall as Ishii is at all, but he's kind of like barrel chested, and he seems real kind of like determined. And he's like looking around and kind of shaking his head at stuff and looking around. And he's like touching some things, some like decorations that are there, and like running his hand on some stuff.
I clear my throat loudly.
And he's like, "Hello."
Get your hands off my shit.
Yeah.
Well, he's ruining art.
Touching all my decorations.
Not even
Get 'em out of
sorry.
here.
And he's like, kinsman. He's like, Kakita Aji. Kakita Aji. Hello. And you look at this guy, and you realize the description he fits is Ashidaka Narutoki.
The new guy?
The murdered magistrate. He fits that pretty closely.
He's back.
So, and he's like, I'm sorry I haven't come here sooner. when I had heard that
As I was dead.
when I heard that one of our own had filled my dear brother's position,
Okay, sure.
I
Sure,
was
brother.
I was heartened,
Sure, you're not the dead man.
and now I'm here to assist you however I can in finding my brother's murderer. This guy does not fit the description given of him at all in the dossier. He looks much more like his brother. In the dossier, he's described as real fat.
Yeah, an alcoholic.
Oh, I noticed that.
He might be still be alcoholic.
Well, when you see him, it looks more like the description of Narutokai than of his brother, who was known for being like a fat,
That's
slob. Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, he's in the dossier. Oh no.
I am in desperate need of assistance. His murder, Narutoki's murder, has been proven to be much more complex than I could ever dream of.
He's like, surely whatever cur had murdered my brother must have been sly and without any honor.
What if it wasn't just one man? What if it was a group?
And he says, then they'll all face my blade, and with your help, the honor of the Kakita family will strike them down.
Yes, I agree.
He's real into it.
Bro fist.
And he says, then let us go. Where is the first place that we must look?
Oh.
Three gruff-looking figures in patchwork armor sit around a fire. The light is low, and we see this is more than a camp. There are a handful of small houses, but far less than even the smallest village. We hear a whistle, signaling the figures, who stand up slowly, one leaning on a naginata identical to those of the Thunder Guard. None of them seem surprised to see the woman who approaches. A young woman approaches on a fine steed. It's a Rokugani pony, but the expert way that she effortlessly dismounts tells us, even before her accent cements it, that she is from the Unicorn Clan. "Did you get it?" she asks. "You should see him," one of the figures around the fire says in brusque, low Rokugani. "He almost didn't make it." The Unicorn woman curtly walks past the three bandits and enters one of the houses. Inside, two more guards, these carrying katanas, sit nearby an old man who applies poultices to the burned flesh of a figure on a bed. "My men got it," he says. "But you didn't tell us one of them could call on the spirits." Blackout.
Alright, so
No. I think
was Tayo either dutiful or honorable or honest? I'm sorry, honest. He says when you tell the truth or stand for justice and it harms your position or standing. And duty, of course, is when you fulfill your duty to your lord and family, even when it goes against your own interests.
yeah, you definitely did duty, whatever. Wait. Goes against his own interests?
Ooh.
Are you telling me you don't want to become an opium slumlord? You literally own an opium den.
I don't want to become an opium slumlord.
I don't want
I
to be.
think that's actually true.
Just,
I got that mostly for him and to get secrets. Remember my conversation with my wife, Tayo doesn't actually like opium. Although, now that he sees that Korichika can help him, it's more positive toward it.
Okay.
I do like opium.
I'll accept it.
Certain conditions must be met.
It's the
I
only
feel like
XP
it was just enough to go against your own interest because you didn't want to betray us and you argued against that bit. So okay. I guess I'll nominate Tayo for that.
Alright, so Ishii had courage, which was when you refuse to retreat and suffer harm or lose the advantage, and sincerity, when you keep your word and by doing so come to harm.
Yeah, I cut my word, but I didn't come to harm for it yet.
I don't know if either of those has happened quite yet.
Yeah, hard to be courageous and everybody runs away from you. Sons of bitches.
Maybe if you're more sagacious.
Wait, what about didn't we do stuff in that flashback at the beginning?
The battle?
Yeah.
But did you come to harm it?
I didn't come to harm. I ran at them, grabbed my bow to kill them, and they were all running away like pansies.
Yeah, I guess
It's hard to be
Coming to harm?
hard to be heard, to be coming to harm when everybody's running away from you. It's hard to be courageous when everybody's like, oh shit, it's the big samurai man that's running.
What was the other one you had?
Sincerity. And I just haven't come to harm by keeping my promise yet. I think I was pushing for it still.
It can be a social harm as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I mean, other than Taiyo being like, oh, I see that this is a thing that Ishii is really on about still, and other than that, I don't think so. I don't even know if you could like super count that. It's up to you at this point, really. Do you think Taiyo thinks of Ishii differently now that?
I don't know if that hurt Tayo's opinion.
Okay.
Much. Also, I don't think Taiyo heard your promise either, because I think I left.
Oh, right.
Before that
you
happened.
did. You did leave. All right. Well, then no.
All right.
It's okay then.
Yugure has sincerity. Again, when you keep your word and by doing so come to harm. But also courage. So actually the same stuff as Ishii. Again, courage when you refuse to retreat and suffer harm or lose the advantage.
I could see courage when you stood up to the
Definitely
lady.
courage.
Okay.
You got fucked up real bad, son.
Yeah, I think the courage was the one I remember was, I mean, I remember the lady too, but when I literally ran at the bandits in the middle of the.
Yeah, I think Andrew did courage.
All right.
When does harm damage go away?
I was going to ask that once we finish.
Andrew's nearly
It's been
dead.
4 months and I've got 5 damage.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that in a second. All right, Aji has courtesy. Also has sincerity, which we've talked about before, and courtesy when you show respect and defer to someone's station, even when they are your enemy or at your mercy.
You're pretty uncool to that boy today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the opposite.
Yeah. You've been kind to him for months. Or for a month, I guess. And today you're like, go fuck yourself.
He's like that nagging alcoholic. Like, I'm tired.
I can't keep on going drinking. Jesus. It's been a month. Alright.
Well, I mean, you're kind of compassionate toward the people who were getting ripped off by him.
Yeah,
No,
but I'm not compassionate.
He's not compassionate.
I'm
He's
sincerity.
Sincerity and courtesy.
Oh.
he could give less of a shit.
I don't think I was
When you
either.
show respect and defer to someone's station, even
Although
when
you
they're
were
your enemy or at
compassionate
your
this
mercy.
time, yes. You did fulfill compassion this time.
Alright, I'm just
Too
a
bad
bad
that
listener.
doesn't-
Yeah, I don't think I was either of those. So.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Keep your word, yeah.
All right.
All right. How about
Maybe Naruto's brother is the one who died in the carriage. And this is the real Narutoka. And he went into hiding. Because he and his brother are swapping places once in a while.
Was it a real fat corpse that was in the carriage?
No, he wasn't really fat then. That was just like the front they put up.
That was the suit that it was the stuffing
This
suit
fat
that he wore.
suit, yeah. So they could switch places.
It was one of those
The
parties.
obscenely fat one.
Been losing weight for years and then wearing a fat suit.
These last 4 months, he's just been working
And
out.
he's like, alright. And he dropped the fat suit, got murdered.
He dropped the... No, they had been switching places. So, like, they would trade off the fat suit.
Have you ever seen Sister Sister?
Yeah, the movie where Whoopi Goldberg wears a fat suit and trades it off with her other sister, Tamara. It didn't work. They tried to redo Sister. They called it Sister. Fuck, you beat me to it. They tried to like combine the two worlds, and it didn't work. Harvey Keitel was still okay to be in the movie, but it didn't make sense then at all.
That's all. That was just my theory. Just for a moment.
I like it. I mean, simpler than any other explanation we've come up with.
That's true.
Wait, but still someone had to murder him.
No, the murder didn't change. Now we just have to deal with the whole other dimension. Where Naruto guy is still alive, and just is like, nah, I'm not going to be the Emerald Magistrate anymore because they killed me, but who's my brother? It only gets worse.
All right.
So,
I hope we stopped
Yeah.
recording before I went on.
no, we gotta, unfortunately got to finish this.
Oh no.
City of Lies is Tone as Kakita Aji, Brandon as Hida Ishii, David as Bayushi Tayo, Andrew as Agasha Yugure, and Austin as your Game Master. The theme music for City of Lies is Mission of Danger by Lobo Loco.
Additional music for this episode includes Petrichor by Midair Machine, A Fool of the First Water by Head vs. Wall, Evening Fly of the Brands by Lobo Loco, and Brooklyn by The Inventors. This American Dice Ryoko Owari City of Lies uses the City of Lies box set by Greg Stolz, published by Alderac Entertainment Group. The mechanics used is a modified PBTA system by Brendan Taylor of Galileo Games. Join us next time for more This American Dice. Hey everybody, if you could please rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher, it would really help This American Dice. And for every 5-star review we receive, we'll read it on air. Join us next week for another episode of This American Dice.